Dragon Ballers, if you're looking to buy Dragon Ball Super or One Piece sealed product, make sure to get 5% off using my link to Mystic TCG down in the description. You can also sell cards to them using their Facebook link, which is also down in the description. Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video. Hope you guys all had a great weekend. Today, we are getting into Set 21 reveals, believe it or not, and we are going over a promo leader that you can get your hands on by simply participating in your Set 21 pre-release. That is the Android 16 leader, and this leader has a lot of people talking about it. It seems like it might be Green's best leader in a long time, and the crazy thing is it's kind of just like a blue leader in disguise. We'll talk about that more in the video. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a video, and don't miss out on your opportunity to enter the giveaway that I have going on right now. You guys can find the post in the community tab if you want to, but simply put, you guys just have to follow my Twitter, and in a couple days I'll be DMing one of my Twitter followers and awarding them the giveaway prize. So make sure to enter that. Simply go down to the link tree in the description. You can see all my links there. You'll find my Twitter. Just go ahead and follow it. You'll be entered in the giveaway. Anyways, let's jump right on in, starting with our leader. We have Android 16s. Now, just by seeing this and then giving a brief read of the effect, think about the blue Android 16 leader as we go over this, and we'll be making some comparisons. So firstly, we have permanent negate energy exhaust on Android 16s and cards with both Android and Scientist in all of your areas. So this is pretty cool compared to the blue leader because this negates energy exhaust on all Android 16s, not just ones with Arrival, and also all your Android 21s. Those are really all the Android Scientists we have right now at the time of recording. Now, the one problem is, why is this permanent not on the awakened side of the leader? I have no reason other than this is a green leader and they decided they had to make it bad for some reason. Not that alone makes it bad, but it is just like a weird thing. Why is this also not shared on the awakened side? Now, in this deck, you won't be playing cards out of your energy like blue Android 16 is, so I don't think it's too important to have that on the backside. It would have been nice, but hopefully you'll just charge enough of your Android 16s in the early game. And a lot of the blue-green Androids you'll play in this deck, like the Measureless Strength 18 and the Full Power Counter 21, already negate energy exhaust, so that's not too bad, I guess. Auto and card attacks, draw 1. Awaken relights of 4 or less, or you have 2 or more energy in a green Scientist Z battle card with a cost of 1 in play. Draw 1 on tap 1, take life down to 6. And then we have Android 16 created by Dr. Gero. Permanent. Reduce energy cost of a card with both Android and Scientist with energy cost of 4 in your hand by a blue and a colorless. Just think about that as just reducing cost of Android 21s by 2 essentially. Auto, when you play a Scientist, negate this card's permanent skill for the turn. So that is a one-time usage per turn. Seems to be during both players' turns. So whether you want to Floodgate with like full power counter or play a 21 on your own turn, that's a really good effect. And that's where a lot of the fun comes with this deck. But that's also why it's very much a blue deck in disguise. Auto and card attacks, draw 1. Activate battle, use one of your Android 16 cards or cards with both Android and Scientist from your hand in a combo with the skills negated for the turn. So another good comparison to the blue Android 16 leader, because that leader does not draw on the awakened side. This one does. However, instead of getting the free combo out of the drop like the blue leader does, this one gets a free combo out of your hand. So, you know, you're kind of making up that same advantage the blue leader gets. If you think about it card economy wise. But yeah, lots of comparisons to be made between this one and the blue Android 16 leader. They're obviously both meant to be like Arrival based strategies, but this one definitely incorporates a lot more of the recent 21 stuff we've gotten, which we'll take a look at in today's video. But firstly, we got to look at Dr. Gero, Android creator, the Z battle card for the deck. We have a 1 cost, 1 Z energy, deflect barrier, Z stack 1. If you have 2 or more energy, you can put a blue Android battle card under this. Auto, add a card from life to hand and place 1 green card from your hand to the bottom of your deck. Once card's played, draw 1. Very cool thing about this is another copy of Surmounting the Impossible for green decks, because it pretty much has the same effect. And don't forget, Surmounting has unique, so if you ever needed to play a second Self Awakener in some green deck, I don't know what deck would do that, but if you needed to, you could play this next to Surmounting and you know, get another Surmounting effect off, which is kind of cool. Activate main for a blue and a green if your leader is an Android 16 created by Gero. Play up to 1 blue Android with energy cost of 4 or less from under this card, negating its keyword skills for the turn, and you can't play cards from your deck for the rest of the turn. So I did a little bit of thinking, and I asked my teammates, you know, what is this relevant for? What is the big deal about not playing cards from your deck? We couldn't really think of too much. We didn't spend too much time on it, but the main thing here for Android decks is Unit Absorb. So you can't do different Unit Absorb shenanigans when you use this guy's effect. I mean, that might have been relevant if the cell chain was at full power, but it's not. So if you have more ideas for why that effect text is relevant, drop it down in the comments. But let's talk about the cards you can play from underneath this guy. You have Android 21 in the Name of Hunger, which is probably going to be the go-to. And that gives this deck a very similar line of play to the current Android 21 deck, where you can ramp on turn 2 essentially using your Z battle card combination. And actually it's a bit safer than the blue 21 because your 1-drop actually has deflect. So normally against blue 21 you can actually counterplay their 2-drop if you're able to. This one you don't have that option. You could technically counterplay the 4-drop, but it's much harder to counterplay a 4-drop that early in the game than it is to counterplay a 2-drop. You can also technically play Cell Awakening of the Created from under Android Creator, but I don't think it's going to come up very often. Just something you can do that I wanted to mention. So now we're going to go take a look at a bunch of the cards that work with this deck that are not from set 21. But firstly, take a look at this. This is not a Dragon Ball Super card. This is actually a comic book panel snippet from my upcoming comic book, New Mafia Genesis. It's one of the very early pages and one of my favorite pages because once you get to know the characters, it's actually pretty funny. But yeah, I wanted to show you guys this because if you guys have been around for a while, you've heard me talk about the fact that I am making a comic book, and I haven't talked about it in a little while. That was because I wasn't really running any crowdfunding for it, but now I am running a second crowdfunding campaign for the book. This thing is just my love letter to all the different pieces of fiction that have inspired me throughout my life, inspired me to make this YouTube channel, inspired me to do all the things that I've done in my short time here on the planet. So yeah, this is something I've wanted to do for years and years and years, and I finally just started doing it. This is some of the artwork. I have about 90 pages done for the book, and it's gonna be almost a 200-page book. So we're about halfway there. My goal with this was really to mesh the style of both American comics and Japanese manga into one, which my artist, Matt Clark, is helping me do to a really great degree, and I'm really appreciative to be able to work with him. If you guys want to see more about this and maybe even possibly donate, go to my link tree down in the description. You'll see the link to my New Mafia Genesis Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign. I really do appreciate you guys taking the time to do that. And just generally, let me know in the comments below if you think this looks cool. But anyways, let's go on to our cards that work with this leader that are from various other sets. Again, all the Android scientists are pretty much 21s. Let's talk about this. Android 21 Full Power Counter is a floodgate you can play in this deck for 2 energy. Now, that's really good for a couple of reasons. Android 21 also tries to cheat the cost of this card during the opponent's turn by using the opponent's cards as energy, but there are a few problems with that. One of which is the opponent can play around that if they're able to. Like, for example, swing with all battle cards first, so your opponent can never tap your battle card to play Full Power Counter. The one advantage that 21 has is that if you're up against a blue or green deck, you have now specific color energy to be using their cards to use your Full Power Counter. But that's where Android 16 kind of cuts down the middle. It actually gains an advantage. Playing a 25k during your opponent's turn is actually really hard to interact with. Like, Koitsukai doesn't hit it, a lot of red counterplays don't hit it. I believe because it reduces the cost by 2 though, I think you are open up to counterplays now, like Desperate Measures and Tyrannical Blow, because it'll technically be a 2 cost when it's attempted to be played. I'm pretty sure that's how it's going to work, but if I'm wrong, definitely let me know down in the comments. So that is one downside, but still, the fact that this is like, I'm pretty sure the only 21 you're probably going to aim to play during your opponent's turn, and the fact that it's so much easier to play in 16, that's a really big upside. And then we have Android 21, the Beautiful Scientist. So this is a 4-drop blocker. You can look at the top 7 and put any of those cards in your energy and rest mode, and then KO a guy. You are then restricted though to not be able to play cards between 30k and 35k power, which a lot of these blue-green decks don't really play anyway. The main ones you're not able to play are like Golden Avenger and Turning the Tide, among other things. You can still play whatever blue SCR you want, so that works out. But this being a 2-cost ramp in this deck that, again, KOs a guy, blocks an attack, and lets you charge anything off the top 7, this is a really good card for offense. So both these cards are looking super solid. Let's take a look at some more stuff that works with this deck. We have Android 21 Total Audacity, which in this leader is just a 2-drop Saiyan Instincts that draws a card and has double strike. The clone token effect doesn't really matter in this deck. It doesn't do too much for you as far as I can tell, but still, the fact that this is a 2 energy Saiyan Instincts that also produces a body, that's really good. I mean, that's the best case usage in actual 21, right? So getting that here is also really good. And then we have Android 21 Transcendental Predator. Remember, this is a 4-cost in your hand, so your leader is going to make this a 2-cost. So you're getting so much of the same benefit that Android 21 is getting, and that is cheating cost on your cards. 21 just does it by using your opponent's cards. 16 just does it by having a leader effect that does it. It's really strong, and this SCR for 2 energy is actually just completely absurd. Don't forget, this leader also awakens and goes to 6, so theoretically you could play this card and go back to 8 life. That's also something that Gamma is able to do, albeit Gamma's not able to do it for 2 energy. They have to commit the full 4 energy to do that. This leader could be kind of nasty with that ability. And then finally, we have a couple Android 16 cards that are just super usual suspects for the blue Android 16 deck. The one thing I wanted to point out here though is that Android 16 energy amplification doesn't have energy exhaust in this deck, at least on your unawakened side. So the cool thing here is you have so many options for rampers. You could play 16 energy amp, you can play Giro into your Name of Hunger from the Z deck, and you can play Beautiful Scientist for 2 energy on your awakened side. So you have so many opportunities to ramp. So this might be a very hardcore blue-green ramp deck, even maybe more so than 21 currently is. And that is just so weird and so interesting for a green leader to be able to do all this. But now let's talk about the fact that this is actually a green leader and not a blue leader. So you are losing out on certain things, like, for example, access to Dimension Magic, a lot of the blue staples that only blue leaders can play. I think in a ramp deck like this, D-Magic is probably the biggest one. I guess you also do lose out on Android 17 Defending Friends, which is kind of a big deal. So your floodgate options are a little bit less, albeit full power counter is going to be a lot more consistent as a 2-drop at the start of all your opponent's turns. So yeah, I think this is gonna be a really cool leader to experiment with. I think it honestly is looking like the best green leader in the game at the time of release, because we already know the 21 cards are very, very good. The fact this leader gets cheat costs on them is super good. And this leader, it does not have the unfortunate downside of being locked into a mono green archetype. Like this leader gets to play a lot of cards that we know are already very good, gets to play cards like Sensuvine and maybe some other solid blue staples as well. So I don't know if you guys think it's the best green leader in the game, let me know in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.